Welcome to Meet the Black Press, a podcast dedicated to telling the untold stories of the black community in the United States and the black diaspora around the world. Meet the Black Press is presented by the National Newspaper Publishers Association Podcast Network. We are back, live in Norfolk, Virginia at the NNPA National Conference at the Hilton Mainline Hotel, man. And I have the pleasure, the privilege of sitting here next to one of South Florida's major media moguls, Mr. Bobby Henry.
Well, man, brother, you make me feel good,
hey,
man.
You know, that's all right intro, and you deserved every bit of it, man.
Thank
you deserved every bit of it. Mr. Henry, can you please tell us what your publication is called? Tell us about your, your representation.
I'll give you some. First of all, I want to thank you, because had it not been for my daddy, I wouldn't be here.
All right.
So I want to give him the propers.
Always shout outs to dads,
absolutely,
man. Yes,
absolutely. We're the Westside Gazette, and that's Broward County's oldest and largest black-owned newspaper.
Okay.
My father started the newspaper back in 1971 when he was misquoted by one of the daily papers, and he went to them to ask them to recant the story, to tell the truth, and they wouldn't. So my daddy went out and he tried to find a black publication that would tell his story, but there was none there.
Wow.
So he started his own newspaper.
In 71?
In 1971.
Wow.
I remember my sister had gotten a typewriter for a Christmas present. And my daddy and my mama, God bless her, she passed on, actually started the newspaper in our living room. It's called a Florida room down,
It's a Florida room.
Florida room.
In Florida, they call it a Florida room. All right. Learn something new today.
That's where the paper came. That's where it came from. And over the years, we've had several prominent people to actually work at the paper. I'm proud to say that Congressman Al.C. Hastings used to write articles in our paper.
Legend.
And it was a Jewish gentleman by the name of Avery Sevdale. So we had a cross-section of our actual community that was involved in the paper.
No doubt.
And then we had some good people, some post office workers like a Mr. Carlton Times, who has gone on, Miss Jeannie, she's gone on. But the paper still survives since 1971.
Since 71, man. That's a great legacy, and it's just great to hear how you were there from Jump Street.
No, bro Wilson. Now you know how it is when you
talk to me. Tell me how you. So you 71. You know you're a young man.
I was young. Yeah.
You're a young man. Yeah. Your pop starts this thing.
Yes,
man.
He does. And we bumped heads.
Of course. Hey, I know how that is.
Exactly.
I know how it is.
That's what I'm telling you, man. So,
I'm a son and a father.
See.
So yeah, I'm right there with you.
So we experienced that. Even though we bumped heads, when I was in second grade, we had to write a paper. And the teacher asked us what did we want to be when we grew up. So I put down I wanted to be a messenger. Had no idea whatsoever what would happen. But as fate would have it, it turned out to be that I'm sitting in the seat where I'm a messenger.
As a messenger.
But not only me, I have 4 sisters. We're going into a third generation paper.
Okay.
Like I said, my father started, he and my mother. My mother has passed on. Before she died, like I said, I got 4 sisters. She put us in strategic places where she wanted us at the paper. She did it. I mean, this was her insight. So and I'm sure there are most black newspapers, had not God had his hand on it, we wouldn't be here.
Big truth.
And so he orchestrated that through my mother, who put us in strategic places. Like I said, I didn't want to be there. I went away, quit school, went into the Army, got out, went to college. But it brought me back home.
Always.
So
you never can go too far. What they say about apples and trees, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
If it's on the hill,
even if it's on the hill, they're
bro.
not going to fall too far, man.
No.
So let's talk about that. Let's get a little bit more into that. What was your path like to getting back into media? Obviously it was in you from the parental lineage, but then you went away. You did your own thing. You lived some life. So what brought you back? How was your path back?
Okay, I'll share this, and I think that we, as a people, we need to allow others to see our shortcomings,
yes, sir,
as well as our successes.
It's all a part of the process.
It's the process.
Yes, sir.
So, like I said, I was a rebellious young man. I didn't want to be involved with the family business. I started out. I delivered papers. I helped run the press. I did all that. But that rebellious side of me was there. So I left the family business. I went away. At first, when I quit school, I went into the Army. And while when I got in the Army, I got out. went to college, won a scholarship playing football.
Okay.
But I left there because some situations and went to another college.
Life be real.
But God has always had His hands on me and my family. Like I said, I got 4 sisters, and all 4 of them are at the office. Even though I left, they stayed there, and so they're really the backbone of the business. I'm just the face that they see out front.
Right.
You know, so
You're a good face, man. You're the guy, man.
I
You're the guy that's sitting on the road.
Hey, check this out. My mother, before she passed, as civil rivalry goes, we would have knockdown, drag out arguments.
You and the sisters?
Me and my sisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you the baby boy?
No, I'm the second oldest.
Okay.
But that didn't matter. It was 4 women, four young ladies.
And not a lot of wins in there for you.
No.
Not a lot of wins.
So it got to the point where my mother, she passed from cancer. So in her sickness, she moved away, had a home built in North Carolina, so she could, ride out into the sunset. Yes, so we didn't really want to bother her with our nonsense. But it got so to the point where it was like every week we would have to make a call. Mama, tell her to stop doing blah blah blah. So we made it. We made a pact.
Bothering her while she in North Carolina, right? Yeah. I get it.
So we made a pact that if we had to walk away from anything, it would be the business and not the family.
Okay.
So no matter what happened in that business,
man, that's
we wouldn't let that destroy our family. And we made that pact. So once my 4 sisters and I did that, we began to see, learn how this thing
and learn how to work together a lot better, man.
Yes.
So and you all 5 of you, should I say, are still there.
Not only that, my niece.
That's great. It's a
my
family
daughter-in-law,
business.
My son.
Beautiful.
So man, it has.
This is beautiful.
Through the struggle, we were able to break ground and plant seeds and stuff that's coming up.
That's what I like to hear. So
we here.
Y'all here and representing for Miami, Broward County, should I say?
Fort
Lauderdale. Listen, you're right. I don't want no smoke down here in South Florida. Man, but really, Broward County though, like that's such a hotbed of cultural activity, man. You got African Americans, Haitians, Cubans, Jamaicans, Trinidadians. The whole diaspora is out there.
High 57 ain't got nothing on us.
Nothing. All the flavors out there. All the flavors. So how, having a publication down there, how do you manage that? How do you make that work, that blend of cultures and information? Who you speaking to.
Good point. Being a community newspaper, it is the community's newspaper.
All right.
So you have to have a little bit of everybody in it.
Yes, sir.
And we have been fortunate enough. Any day you come to our office, you are liable to see a congressman, a homeless person. So the complete gamut come through our doors because we are a community newspaper.
Right.
And we are ingrained in the community from all aspects, from our church, feeding the homeless, going out on the streets on Friday nights praying, the whole thing.
That's what I like.
Now, but not only that, now there's a flip side to that. We ain't always been that way. But you asked me, how do we deal with it? We deal with it because it's in us.
Yes.
And we don't run from it.
Yes.
We don't shy away from it. We accept the diversity. Because that's what it is.
That's what makes that place special.
Exactly.
That's what makes it special, man. It makes it a place that millions of people, myself included, love to come visit. Every time I'm getting on the plane in Fort Lauderdale or Miami International, I'm just shedding a little tear. Why I gotta leave? It's too cold where I'm going, man. It's too cold in DC.
But now, Mr. Wilson, too, now it has its drawbacks too. And I'm sure that we all are experiencing some form of racism, some form of apathy because of certain situations.
And that's a big thing I want to touch on with you. Being that we are here at the NNPA National Conference, National Convention, should I say. One of the NNPA's big drives right now is to get voter registration up. And we've all seen in the past, decade plus of our life, exactly how important Florida is to this country's political process, man.
From the hanging chads.
From the hanging chads on to, everything that's been happening.
Again, we're fortunate enough that we are a community newspaper, so we have tentacles that reach out throughout the entire community, from the judicial part, the law enforcement, the gubernatorial, all the candidates, the whole atmosphere of elections. We are a part of it.
Excellent.
And we are a part of it because, again, we are a community newspaper. Now, as it pertains to this upcoming, excuse me, election, primaries, and the significance of Florida being a Democratic cradle, if you will, we do have a responsibility to make sure that people understand how necessary it is for them to vote. So, saying that, there are a group of individuals that consisted of fraternities, churches, the longshoremen, the community, from the top to the bottom, have come together collectively to. As a matter of fact, the first article appeared in our paper this week. The necessity to get the vote out, to get the people registered
It's
to
important.
vote.
The NNPA is working on registering 5 million.
Yeah, and we are a part of that.
Yes, sir.
You know, we all have a role to play.
Yes,
so we
sir.
are a part of that, and that means going up under the tree where they're playing dominoes and checkers at.
That's right.
You know, to the networking sessions.
Yep.
So we are a part of that, and we're doing our parts in that. I can say, and I want to give a shout out to a couple of people, Raymond Robinson. Absolute Robinson, Brandon Freeney, Krista Chanel, Rochelle Davis, Ariel. These are young folk who have come aboard to help us to continue to grow and be responsible in the media field.
I love
you know, and so with that young influence,
that's great that you got some millennials in the mix, man.
Yeah, but it's a hair scratcher. But because of them, we're doing things different. You know, we're tweeting, we're Facebooking, we're Instagramming.
That's a great segue, because I was going to ask you. You know, what do you see as the future of the Westside Gazette? What do you see as what do you see you guys expanding into digital media? Because that's really, you know, where this thing is going. You guys have been a community paper, so now what more can we be to the community?
I'm glad you asked that question. I got a little cheat sheet here.
I love it, man. Look, you know,
I got a little cheat sheet.
Well, make sure you get that info.
Okay, it says the black press is an educational weapon.
Yes.
You know, because we can apply pressure. Now, I understand the social media, I understand the digital, but there ain't nothing, and I said there ain't nothing like a newspaper and the significance and the weight it carries.
Yes, sir.
It's so significant that this professor, this English professor who taught at Vanderbilt back in 1920-something, he made a comment. His name is Edward Mims, and he wrote in an article called The Advancing South. Now, he was I guess you would call him a liberal nowadays, but you know, he was a good guy. And he said this. He said, he wrote in the article, you know something? I didn't even write his quote down.
You didn't write his quote down, man.
I didn't write his quote down, man. It was so profound. It blew me away.
Oh, man.
It was to the Lord. Now
tell me, give me the gist of it. No, because you can bring
Mims.
this in.
His name is
you
Mims.
can bring. We can bring this home.
Yeah, he wrote. Oh God, be more careful. Wait a minute. Hold it. It's one of those black persons where black people can do that. Excuse me. This is what he said.
All right. Bring it on home, Mr. Henry.
The black press is where black people can be heard, and that makes it the greatest single power in the Negro race. Now this was a guy back in 1920-something, right? English literature professor.
My man.
So that still holds true today. It's just that we have gotten away from that.
Yes.
You know, we want the easy, the accessible, the easy accessible things to get information.
Yes.
And sometimes that can be deadly.
Yes.
Sometimes instant stuff will cause you to make decisions based upon some, and I'm not stealing Donald Trump's thing, that fake news, but it's I'll say from false premises.
You're 100% correct, because the rapid availability of information nowadays, like you said, the instancy of it all, it kind of destroys the credibility of it all.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I love about the NNPA and all these publications that I've become introduced to through being a part of this organization is you guys have credibility.
And
you guys have legacy. You know, thank you for sharing that with us.
But you know, Brother Wilson, it's up to us to keep. You and I said something earlier today. Remember when we first met?
We was out there, yes, sir.
About the baton.
Yeah, that's right. Passing that stick.
You got
I'm right here. I'm ready.
That's
I'm ready
right,
for
exactly.
you. I'm ready for you, Mr.
That's
Henry.
what we got to do, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm thankful and grateful for the fact that we're in the situation we're in.
No doubt.
You know, we're here for a reason.
No doubt.
You know, and so we have to hold true to that reason.
I agree.
You know,
wholeheartedly.
And the black press, had it not been for the black press, black people wouldn't exist because it wouldn't be recorded in history.
Thank you.
You know, it wouldn't be there, man.
And for your community too, especially in South Florida, you know, it gets so overshadowed by so much other stuff that goes on. It's like you almost don't think about the trials and tribulations or the triumphs of African Americans in that part of the country. And if it wasn't for the Westside Gazette and any other community paper or community information distributing source, we would never know.
We would never know, man. I'm
know.
fortunate enough to be the president of the Florida Association of Black-Owned Media.
Awesome.
And that's.
So I told you it was a media mogul, man.
Wait a minute, no, you said that. But
I told you.
where the money, huh?
Right.
It's more than just the money. You know, unlike. And I'm gonna say it. Unlike millennials, we do have loyalty.
Yes.
You know, a lot of young folk. It's kind of hard to find that loyalty. You know, they're on a job for 2 years.
Yeah,
they're plotting their course. You know, they're upward mobility.
Yes.
And I can understand.
That's very
that.
true, though. That's
very
very
true.
true.
But once you have been through, let's say you do 10 jobs like that, you want to go to your next one.
Right.
You know.
And at a certain point too, you know what I think about, like, and this is why one thing I've loved and enjoyed about interviewing and speaking with you today is like you set up this legacy thing, man. Your pop set it up. Now you're setting it up, and you know the following generations will continue to do the same. Because I think that's what really matters is you guys having something that has some continuity and some staying power.
And it takes a community.
It does.
It truly does, because the things that we don't know, there's others out there who do. And if you set yourself up where you think you know everything, then nobody wants to come. It's kind of hard to put something in a full glass. You can't add no more water to it, man.
I love that.
So, you know,
that's wisdom from the OGs right there. That's wisdom, right? It's hard to put something in a full glass.
It is, man. You can't put anything in there.
Very true.
So there comes a time when you have to empty yourself.
Yes.
You know, when you played sports, you had to give it all you had.
You
had to
leave it all on the court.
You had to leave it there, man.
Yeah.
You had to leave it there.
Yes, sir.
And so I am. My hat goes off to all of the other publishers before us. And those who stood in the trenches and had to make do, man. We had to make do. Yes. There were times when you couldn't pay your print bill, so you had to go. You know, I mean, there are some difficult times that you go through as a publisher.
I can definitely. Me and my partner, we always say, like, man, we're standing on the shoulders of so many people who did so much before us to just even allow us to be here doing a podcast and having these conversations. A whole podcast, right? Man? Ain't it? I think about it sometimes
in the Hilton Hotel in Virginia.
Hotel.
Confederate-based Virginia.
In Norfolk, Virginia.
Come on, man.
Man, listen, I'm more than thankful. And when I look at guys like you and I see the work that you've put in, it only inspires me to inspire the next generation, to inspire the next generation, man.
I'm going to leave you with this little bit of stuff here.
Talk to me,
two things. Okay, when you look at this plant, as beautiful as it is, this plant is growing in dirt. It's the dirt.
That's right.
Dirt that makes that plant grow.
Right. Not the leaves.
No.
Not the pretty green.
Dirt. No.
It's the dirt.
It's the dirt. Now, in order to get that plant there, you got to bust the soil. You got to create something. You got to make something happen. It may not feel good, but you got to make it happen. And if you're doing it from the right perspective, if you're doing it from your heart and your spirit as opposed to what you're trying to think, once you put that physical part in there, you done messed up, man.
That's wisdom. That's wisdom right there.
So,
that's wisdom. Mr. Bobby Henry he gave us jewels on the NNPA podcast, all right? Listen, before we let you go, Mr. Henry, we gotta let you know, man. We gotta let the people out here that are viewing, that are listening, know. How can we get in touch with you, man? What's your information, your website,
I'm glad you
social media?
said that. Bring that on.
You seem like a guy might have an Instagram account. I know you do.
I do. You know, everything is Westside Gazette.
All right, Westside Gazette.
Westside Gazette. The WestsideGazette.com is the website. That underscore.
Yeah.
Westside Gazette. That's the Instagram.
Okay.
Follow us on Facebook, the WestsideGazette.com.
Okay.
Facebook. It's Twitter.
Okay.
No, we're there. We're all over the place.
Hey, listen, next time I'm in Miami for Art Basel, DC Takeover, whatever in Miami, pick up a copy of the Westside Gazette. Big shout out to my man.
Good old Mr. Wilson.
Man, this is my guy right here, Mr. Bobby Henry of the Westside Gazette, everybody. NNPA podcast live from Norfolk, Virginia, Washington Hilton, the Norfolk Hilton. We out of here.
All right.
Peace.